Slates, tablets, and iPads. What device should we put in our classroom? That's one of the greatest questions that's out there today. And how do we solve it? Well, first of all, we have to take the focus away from the device. It's not about the device or the app that we put on the device. The app means application or a little piece of software that goes on the device. That's not the focus. We should be focusing on retooling and rethinking teaching and learning today. And then talk about what that would look like before we move to the device debate. We have to rethink possibilities. What could we do if we want students to be actively involved with in the classroom? We have to remember many of our teachers are more comfortable with paper. They're paper trained. That's all we had for a lot of years. And we would get bigger school bags and drive around more paper and bring it back on Monday. But we have to remember we're trying to engage our students, and they live in a video game world. They're consuming a massive amount of video outside of our classrooms. Inside of our classrooms, we're trying to paper train them. It's not going to work. We have to take the focus away from the device because it's not about the device. With these smartphones, with iPads, we can access information instantly. So it's not about the device. And the debate usually gets stuck on the device. That's not what it's about. It's about what we're going to do when we can access information instantly. Teaching and transforming schools. That's what it's about. And that's where the conversation should start before we jump over to this one does this does this, I like the look and feel of this one. There is an app for everything. And there's all different ways to look at apps. There's groups that review apps, but that's not what we should be focusing on the front. Unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of school districts race out and buy iPads and give them to teachers and without professional development, and we're getting seduced by the apps, meaning that we're drilling and killing, they're playing lots of games, but really, how could we be using this in teaching and learning? The focus has to be on instruction because that's what we have to change, and the tools are just tools to help us rethink how we deliver lessons. The essential element to everything is that students should be demonstrating what they've learned. They should be creating projects, showing to not only the students in their class, but students outside of their classrooms also what they've learned. It's all about collaboration, all the way through the Common Core State Standards, all the way through the Teacher Evaluation Framework. It's all about collaboration, both inside the classroom and with a global audience. It's all about collaboration. We have to move to inquiry-based learning, problem-based learning, put whatever name you want on it. We have to engage students in real life problem situations to get them college and career ready. We have to move away from the static textbook delivered instruction, and we have to move to more dynamic content. And that's what I'm seeing many classrooms doing today. Producing learning artifacts. Teachers need to have the experience of producing learning artifacts in professional development, and students need to be producing artifacts that they share not only with their classroom, but globally. Hear a theme there? Well, let's get to the device. This is a slate. They come in all sizes and shapes. There's wireless ones and there's wired slates. These are designed for the teacher to be able to walk around the room while teaching a lesson. Hard part about the slate, when you look down, there is nothing on the slate. You have to look up on the board, so it's a little challenging for those of us that are getting older with our eyesight. But the slate is one way that you can be teaching from around the room. You have to put in a document camera. This is just one example. And document cameras are great, but what we don't want to see with the document camera is the worksheet underneath the document camera and the teacher talking through a worksheet. This is one of my favorites. I like this because it has a smaller footprint on a desk. And the second one below is the light, so you can illuminate something. Look at this mini one, though. This is great to travel. It's really small, and it is called an IPEVO, IPEVO, and it is less than $100 and very, very mobile, which is great. Here it is, the iPad. I don't care what size, shape, color, case, Gosh, we spend a lot of time on those kind of questions. It's not about that. It's about what we could do if we had these in the hands of every teacher and every student. So there is no one answer. I don't think there's one device that's the perfect answer. I think there's times that one of these 5 kids with around one activity. It just depends on how we're structuring instruction. It depends on what you're teaching, what are the goals of the lesson, and so on and so forth. Doesn't matter. Apple, Android, whatever. It just doesn't matter. It's more how are we designing the lessons, and how does the device support learning during that lesson? This is one I wanted to share with you, and this is how you can project from your device through your computer. And what it is called the reflector. It used to be called reflection, now it's called reflector. And what this does is reflector is a piece of software that sits on your computer, not on the device. That's really important to understand. And you turn reflector on, and when you turn it on, then you pick up your iPad and double click the home key. See on the far left, that's called the home key. Double click on the home key, and you see the band of across the bottom, those are the apps that are running right now. Scroll over and you will see this one that's called AirPlay. It turns blue when it sees an Apple TV or when it sees the Reflector app. And there's other ones also. Airstream is another one. But Reflector is one I've had pretty good success with. So what you do is you select which device you want to talk to, then you turn your mirroring on. And what happens? Now the iPad projects up on the screen. It's wow. It is so cool. But it doesn't always work. And this awesome guy Chris was in one of my sessions, and he figured out why it doesn't work on some enterprise networks, because they block the technology that uses that, which is called AirPlay. So that's just really test it out before you go out and buy it. Reflector has a price tag. It's about $10. It comes in five for $10, and it's $10. But remember, it sits on the computer, not the device. And the teacher can also put in a password too, so students can't hijack their lessons. There's a lot more that we need to talk about slates, tablets, and iPads, but this is a beginning to really think about what do you want to do instructionally. That's number 1A, and that's what you have to focus on before you move to the device. Thanks.